the courage to break your own limits. Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin, I want to ask you something that goes deeper than just motivation, deeper than inspiration, deeper than any quote you've ever heard. When was the last time you surprised yourself, truly surprised yourself, not by chance, not by luck, not by accident, but because you finally decided to rise above the version of you that once believed, "This is all I can do, this is all I can be"? I ask this because most people don't remember, not because they haven't had opportunities, but because they stopped giving themselves permission to grow. And growth, real growth, requires courage. Not the courage to fight the world, not the courage to defeat competitors, but something far more terrifying, the courage to break your own limits. The moment you admit you've been holding yourself back, there comes a moment in every person's life when the noise of excuses becomes too loud to ignore, when the weight of unrealized potential becomes heavier than the fear of change, and when the mirror stops reflecting who you are and begins revealing who you could have been. This moment is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is not surrounded by applause. Instead, it arrives quietly, like a whisper inside your chest that says, "You know there is more in you. Why are you living beneath it?" And for many people, this whisper is the beginning of a transformation far more powerful than any external success they could chase. Because the first step to breaking your limits is not action. It is admission. It is the courage to look at your life and realize that you have been standing in your own way longer than any obstacle ever has. Most people do not like to hear this truth. It feels uncomfortable. It feels raw. It feels like an accusation. But it is not an accusation. It is liberation. Because once you understand that you are the one holding the keys to your own growth, you also understand that you don't have to wait for anyone else to unlock your future. You realize that the limits you thought were imposed on you were actually maintained by you. You realize that the walls surrounding your dreams were built from thoughts you never questioned. You realize that life wasn't denying you. It was waiting for you. Admitting you've held yourself back is not an act of shame, it is an act of power. It is the moment you stop blaming circumstances, stop blaming people, stop blaming your past, and start reclaiming authorship of your story. And yes, it hurts, because truth always stings before it heals. It hurts to admit that you could have been further by now. It hurts to admit that fear, doubt, procrastination, comfort, or hesitation have cost you years. It hurts to realize you settled when you should have stretched. But that pain is the price of awakening. And an awakened mind is impossible to limit. Think of all the times you told yourself, "I'll try later. I'm not ready yet. What if I fail?" Think of the times you compared your journey to someone else's and convinced yourself that you were already behind. So why even begin? Think of the opportunities you ignored because they felt unfamiliar, the dreams you postponed because they felt too big, the steps you avoided because they felt too demanding. None of these were barriers of reality. They were barriers of permission. You simply never gave yourself permission to grow beyond the identity you were used to. Growth demands honesty, not honesty with others, honesty with yourself. The courage to say, "I am capable of more, and I've known it all along." Because deep inside you, there has always been a voice, a small flame, a quiet certainty that you could achieve something extraordinary. But you buried it beneath responsibilities, fears, routines, and the opinions of people who never saw your potential clearly enough. You silenced your own greatness to maintain a life of predictable comfort. But comfort is a silent thief. It steals your potential without making a sound. It convinces you that standing still is safer than moving forward. It convinces you that your dreams can wait. But dreams do not wait. They decay when neglected. The moment you admit you've been holding yourself back is the moment you reclaim the power to move. Suddenly, life is no longer something happening to you. It becomes something happening through you. Suddenly, excuses lose their grip. Suddenly, fear loses its dominance. Because the truth once faced cannot be unseen. The truth reshapes you. It redefines your standards. It forces you to confront your wasted potential, not as a source of regret, but as a source of urgency. And here is the miracle of this moment. Once you admit you've held yourself back, you also realize you can push yourself forward. You realize the door that has been locked was locked from the inside, not by fate, not by misfortune, not by others, but by your own beliefs. And if you locked it, then you can unlock it. If you limited yourself, then you can free yourself. This is the moment your true transformation begins, not with motivation, but with responsibility, not with hype, but with honesty, not with promises, but with awareness. And awareness is the birthplace of every breakthrough. Because the person who finally admits, I have been the one stopping myself, becomes the same person who declares, and I will be the one to set myself free. The battle between who you are and who you could be, there is an invisible battle happening inside every human being. A battle so subtle that most people never fully recognize it, yet so powerful that it shapes every decision, every habit, every hesitation, and every moment of courage. It is the battle between who you are today and who you know, deep in your spirit, you could become. This battle is not fought in the outside world. It is not fought in your career, your relationships, your goals, or your circumstances. It is fought in the silent corners of your mind, in the quiet hours when no one is watching, in the moments when you stand alone with your thoughts and feel the pull of two very different futures. One version of you is familiar. That version is built from your past experiences, your fears, your failures, your old wounds, your old beliefs, and your comfort zones, your routines, and the expectations others placed on you. This version is predictable. It's safe. It's the you you've known for years. The identity you return to because it feels easier than confronting the unknown. And this version, even when it's unsatisfying, carries a dangerous sense of comfort. It tells you, stay here, stay where it's familiar, don't take risks, don't stretch, don't challenge yourself. It seduces you with the illusion of safety. But safety without growth is simply a slow surrendering of your potential. The other version of you, the one you could become, is something entirely different. This version is not shaped by your past. It is shaped by your possibilities. It is shaped by strength you haven't used yet, courage you haven't accessed yet, discipline you haven't built yet, dreams you haven't pursued yet, and a level of greatness you haven't stepped into yet. This version of you stands on the other side of your fears, your excuses, and your limits. But to reach it, you must step into uncertainty. You must fight against the gravity of your old self pulling you backward. And that is what makes this battle so difficult, so emotional, and so deeply personal. Every morning when you wake up, you are standing at the crossroads between these two selves. You already know which version of you would lead to fulfillment, growth, transformation, and impact. But the path to that future requires effort, discipline, vulnerability, and courage. Meanwhile, the path back into your familiar self requires nothing. No courage, no effort, no responsibility. And that is why so many people choose the familiar version of themselves, even when it leaves them unfulfilled. They trade possibility for predictability. They trade potential for comfort. They trade growth for repetition. But here is the truth. Your potential will not fight harder for you than you fight for it. The version of you that could change your life will not drag you forward. It will not argue with your excuses. It will not push you out of bed in the morning. The higher version of you needs your participation, your discipline, your decisions, and your willingness to take the unfamiliar path. You must fight for the future you want more fiercely than you cling to the past you've outgrown. The real battle is not between you and the world. The real battle is between your comfort and your calling, your fear and your faith, your doubt and your destiny. Every time you choose comfort, the lower version of you wins. Every time you choose growth, the higher version of you rises. And the truth is, you already know the moments when you betray yourself. You can feel it. Every time you avoid what you know you should do, every time you let fear make decisions for you, every time you silence your intuition, every time you settle for less than your spirit desires, you feel the distance widening between who you are and who you could be. And that distance is painful, not because you failed, but because your soul recognizes the gap between your current reality and your potential reality. That pain, that inner tension, is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something inside you is trying to evolve. You are being called to rise, but rising requires choice. It requires saying, I will not let the familiar version of me dominate my future. I choose to fight for the person I am capable of becoming. And make no mistake, this battle is not won once. It is won daily. With every decision, every small action, every disciplined moment, every time you push past doubt, every time you take a step forward when it would be easier to step back. Over time, these choices compound. They shape you. They strengthen you. They bridge the gap between the two versions of yourself until one day, you look in the mirror and realize you are no longer fighting to become your best self. You are living as your best self. This is the battle, the most important battle of your life. And the moment you decide to fight it intentionally is the moment your transformation truly begins. The power of belief, the internal engine of all human achievement, before any great achievement is ever born in the physical world, it is conceived in the invisible world of belief. Belief is the first cause, the root, the foundation, the engine that drives human potential forward. Nothing you desire, no goal, no transformation, no dream, no breakthrough, can exceed the boundaries of what you believe is possible for yourself. And yet belief is one of the most misunderstood forces in human life. People think belief is merely hope. They think it is soft, emotional, fragile, something that comes and goes depending on how life feels. But belief is not a feeling. Belief is architecture. It is strategy. It is design. It is the inner structure upon which the outer world is built. Look at any person who has risen above their circumstances, any person who has broken barriers, shattered expectations, or rewritten their destiny. You will find that before the action, before the discipline, before the opportunity, there was a belief so strong, so deliberate, so stubborn that it challenged every limitation around them. They believed in something more than what they saw, more than what they had, more than what they were told they could be. And that belief became their compass, their fuel, their foundation. The tragedy is that most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack belief. They have the talent but not the mindset. They have the potential but not the conviction. They have the dream but not the faith required to pursue it boldly. The mind becomes a prison long before life does. And what locks the doors are the beliefs you quietly repeat to yourself. I can't do this. I'm not enough. I don't have what it takes. People like me don't succeed. Others are luckier. Others are smarter. Others have better opportunities. These beliefs form invisible walls that you begin to accept as reality. But they are not reality. They are perception. And perception, once believed, becomes the limit of your life. Belief is the birthplace of courage. You cannot act boldly if you do not first believe boldly. Every breakthrough in your life will always begin with a shift in belief. When you change what you believe about yourself, you change what you attempt. When you change what you attempt, you change what you experience. When you change what you experience, you change who you become. The smallest shift in belief can create the largest shift in destiny. Even a single sentence, maybe I can do more than I thought, can begin the unraveling of years of self-imposed limitations. But belief does not grow automatically. It must be cultivated. It must be chosen. It must be built the way a builder constructs a house. Piece by piece, brick by brick, decision by decision, you build belief by showing up for yourself. You build belief by keeping your promises. You build belief by taking small steps, proving to yourself that growth is possible. Every small victory reinforces a new identity. Every disciplined moment expands your sense of what you can handle. Every time you push past doubt, you strengthen your internal foundation. And eventually, belief becomes not something you wish for, but something you stand on. There will always be voices, internal and external, that try to diminish your belief. People may project their fears onto you. Circumstances may test your resolve. Past failures may whisper that the future will be the same. But belief is not built by avoiding challenges. It is built by moving through them. It is built by learning to trust yourself in the face of fear. It is built by rewriting the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. And the moment your belief becomes stronger than your fear, your life begins to change dramatically. Think about the moments when you doubted yourself but moved anyway. Think about the risks you took even when you were uncertain. Think about the times you stood up after failure. Those moments were not the absence of fear. They were the presence of belief. They were sparks of courage that proved you are capable of more than you imagined. And if those sparks could exist then, they can become fire now. Belief is not something you wait for. It is something you choose. It is a decision to give your future a chance. It is a decision to trust that the potential inside you is real, even if the evidence has not yet appeared. It is declaring, there is more in me, and then living as though that statement is true. And when you consistently choose belief, you unlock a version of yourself that fear can no longer control, because once belief expands, your entire world expands with it. Once belief rises, your limits fall. Once belief strengthens, your identity transforms. And once belief becomes your foundation, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop you from becoming the person you were created to be. The painful but necessary journey through discomfort, if there is one truth every person must eventually face on the path to breaking their limits, it is this: growth does not happen in comfort. Comfort may feel warm, safe, familiar, predictable, but it is also the place where dreams go to sleep, where ambition goes quiet, and where potential becomes imprisoned. Discomfort, on the other hand, is the birthplace of every breakthrough. It is the forge where character is shaped, where resilience is forged, where strength is discovered, and where you meet the version of yourself you never imagined could exist. Yet most people spend their lives running from discomfort as though it is an enemy. They avoid difficult conversations, challenging goals, demanding disciplines, uncertain decisions, and unfamiliar environments. They avoid anything that stretches them, tests them, or exposes their weaknesses. And so they stay the same, year after year, season after season, wondering why life doesn't change, while they cling desperately to the comfort that keeps change away. Discomfort is not your enemy. Discomfort is your invitation to rise. Discomfort is the evidence that you are stepping outside the boundaries of your old self. It is the physical, emotional, and mental signal that something inside you is growing, expanding, breaking free. If you feel discomfort, it means you are alive. It means you are moving. It means you are touching the edges of your potential. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Before it becomes a flower, before it becomes a tree, before it becomes anything of value, it must break. The seed must rupture. It must crack open under pressure. It must fight through darkness, through soil, through resistance, through forces that seem overwhelming. But that struggle is not a punishment. It is preparation. The discomfort is not a sign that the seed is failing. It is a sign that it is changing, transforming, becoming something more. If the seed refused the discomfort, it would remain forever trapped in the shell of what it used to be. You are the same. The pressure in your life is not there to destroy you. It is there to break open the shell of your old identity. The discomfort you feel when you try to change is not a warning that you are on the wrong path. It is confirmation that you are on the right one. You cannot step into a greater version of yourself while staying wrapped in the comfort of your old patterns. Every meaningful achievement in your life will require discomfort. It will require doing things you do not want to do. It will require pushing past resistance, doubt, fatigue, and fear. It will require sacrificing old habits, old excuses, old routines, and sometimes even old relationships that hold you back. Growth demands a price, and the currency is discomfort. The problem is that most people interpret discomfort as a stop sign, when in reality, it is a green light. They think discomfort means, I should back off, when it actually means, keep going. This is working. They think pain means danger, when it often means progress. They think fear means retreat, when it actually means they are approaching something important, meaningful, transformative. There will be days when choosing growth feels exhausting. Days when the old version of you whispers, just quit, go back, take it easy. Days when you doubt whether all this effort is even worth it. But these are the days that matter most. These are the days when you either strengthen your future or reinforce your limitations. These are the days when champions are made, not in triumph, but in struggle, not in applause, but in persistence, not in victory, but in endurance. Discomfort will test your patience. It will test your belief. It will test your commitment. But discomfort also reveals your hidden strength. It shows you what you are capable of enduring. It exposes the excuses you've lived with for too long. It teaches you that you can survive difficulty, that you can push through resistance, that you can remain disciplined, even when your emotions shout for relief. And once you discover this strength, you will never see yourself the same again. You must learn to embrace discomfort not as a punishment, but as a partner. Discomfort is the mentor that prepares you for the life you've been asking for. It is the training ground where weakness becomes strength, where doubt becomes confidence, where fear becomes courage. Every step you take into discomfort expands your world. Every challenge you accept increases your capacity. Every fear you confront diminishes the power your limits once had over you. In time, you will look back and realize that the moments you feared the most were the moments that shaped you the most. You will realize that discomfort was the doorway to your destiny, and you will understand that the life you want, the life you dream of, exists on the other side of the discomfort you've been avoiding. The courage to break the silence within. There comes a moment in every human life when the loudest noise in the world is not the chaos outside, but the quiet war inside. It's the silence you keep when you're scared to admit your dreams. It's the silence you maintain when your heart is aching for change, but your mind keeps whispering, not yet, maybe later, maybe never. And my friend, if there is one battlefield where the strongest warriors fall without ever being seen, it is this one, the silence within. In this part of our journey, Judah, Yongi Cho would tell you with a gentle smile and a strong voice that if you don't speak to your own soul with truth, courage, and conviction, the world will shape you according to its own fears instead of your possibilities. Breaking the silence within is not about noise. It's about honesty, alignment, and the willingness to confront yourself with compassion. You see, the greatest breakthroughs in life do not happen when the world applauds you, but when you finally whisper the truth to yourself. Maybe it's the truth that you are tired of hiding behind limitations. Maybe it's the truth that you have played small for so long that you've forgotten how to think big. Maybe it's the truth that you've talked yourself out of opportunity simply because you were too afraid to disappoint anyone, including yourself. And maybe, just maybe, it's the truth that you've been waiting for permission to live boldly, when the permission was always yours. My friend, breaking the silence is the first courageous step toward reclaiming your own life. It is the moment you decide that your dreams deserve a voice louder than your fears. This silence often disguises itself as survival. You keep quiet because you don't want conflict. You hide your true ambitions because you're afraid of judgment. You bury your calling because you think the world will not understand who you really are. But what you don't realize is that every time you silence your truth, you also silence your strength. Every time you suppress your inner voice, you allow insecurity to grow roots. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the willingness to speak while your voice is still shaking. And some of the most powerful words you will ever speak are the ones you say to yourself when nobody is listening. This is who I am. This is what I want. And this is where I'm going. Breaking the silence within is also about acknowledging the pains you've ignored for years. Too many of us carry emotional wounds like invisible stones in our pockets. Childhood disappointments, failures we never processed, rejection that still stings, mistakes we never forgave ourselves for. We walk through life pretending to be strong, but inside we are exhausted, and the silence becomes our shield until it becomes our prison. The courage to break that silence is the courage to heal. It is the courage to say, yes, I have been hurt. Yes, I have fallen. Yes, I made choices I'm not proud of, but I am not staying here. I deserve growth. I deserve progress. I deserve transformation. Healing starts the moment you stop lying to yourself about the weight you carry. But here is a truth many people never realize. Silence is not only about avoiding pain. It's also about avoiding greatness. Some people are not afraid of failure. They are terrified of success. Terrified of becoming the version of themselves they secretly know they can be. Terrified of the responsibility that comes with rising higher. Terrified of losing excuses. Terrified of being seen. And so they stay silent. They stay hidden. They stay comfortable. But comfort has never built greatness. Comfort never breaks limits. Comfort never reveals the powerful, unstoppable version of you that exists behind fear. When you break the silence within, you also break the ceiling above you. My friend, there is a voice inside you, a powerful, wise, resilient voice that has been waiting years for you to listen. It is the voice that pushes you forward, even when you doubt yourself. It is the voice that tells you, you were made for more. It is the voice that reminds you that you have survived storms you once thought would destroy you. It is the voice that says your future is bigger than your past. This voice is your compass, your guide, your strength. But you will never hear it until you quiet the fears and amplify the truth. Breaking the silence is choosing which voice becomes your master, the voice of fear or the voice of destiny. And let me tell you something Yongi Cho often emphasized, once you speak your truth, once you break your silence, once you declare your intention to yourself with courage, the world will rearrange itself to match your clarity. Opportunities appear where there were none. People show up who recognize your strength. Doors open that were previously invisible, not because magic happened, but because you finally aligned your inner world with the life you want to build. The moment you stop hiding from yourself, life stops hiding its blessings from you. So tonight, let this be your turning point. Let this be the moment you whisper the truth you've been afraid to say. Let this be the moment you confront the silence within and replace it with courage. You don't need to shout. You don't need to announce it to the world. You just need to speak honestly to your own soul. Because once you break the silence inside you, my friend, you will never again live a life smaller than the greatness that lives in you.